So in this reflection, I'm going to talk about my experience as a whole for the 4 days, and 4 days and 3 nights. And planning together our walk, our whole aim was to survey hydrological uses of the Trossachs in Scotland, and that means that we would look at different processes such as damming, such as hydrological power, and the use of these dams and where these dams were and what the use or the output was of these the hydraulic power. And so the first day we were dropped off near a power station, and we made our way to this power station along a river, and we also made sure that we came past certain waterfalls that were absolutely stunning. I mean, the whole trip itself was absolutely beautiful, and that's one of the reasons why I think I love Scotland so much right now, is because of how utterly beautiful it is. So the first day was we started off really well, and then at some point we had to cross a river, and this river on the map didn't seem that big or treacherous, but it was. And this river wasn't deep or anything. It was quite shallow, but it was hard to get over because of how rocky it was. And one of the members in my group thought that if she went off by herself across the river, she'd get there easier than the way that we, collectively as a group, we wanted to go. And she fell in, but face forward with her heavy bag on top, and it really shocked her because she was absolutely soaked, and from then on our trip took a bit of a downfall for the other teams. Not for me personally, but as a group spirit as a whole, it put a bit of a low into our mood, because of our next obstacle was to hike up and directly to a gorge, parallel to a gorge, and the steep sides of the gorge it was really difficult for people who haven't had the experience to walk such a steep terrain, and it didn't compare to the steepness of the first day that we had as an orientation day. That's because of the fact that orientation day we went down, and that is harder to go down and far more dangerous because you can topple over, whereas this way it's just physically straining. And after that it was very difficult for people to get their motivation together and actually go up the steep hill. They didn't want to continue. The fact that someone fell in the water and had a bad time, it made them worried that it would happen to them as well. And we also got, after scaling this steep gorge side, onto a very marshy land. So the people in my group who had knee pain and a sore back because of how many hours we had already been walking. We had been walking already by this point 5 hours. So it got really tough on them, and they were physically drained because it was the first time that we had been walking for an average of 6 hours, and that day we had to camp a little closer, or a bit further away or behind of the actual point we needed to get to because of how tired some of our group members were. And that just brought to my attention that you need to sacrifice certain things in life to make sure that other people can regain not only motivation but also emotional strength. So that was really key. And the first day ended very, very well because of how beautiful the scenery was, but people were already in a lot of pain. The second day was a better day. On terms for me, it was a good day, but for others, they were in a lot of pain because of how heavy the bags were for them. For the first time, they'd actually been wearing a very, very heavy bag, and they were physically drained. They didn't sleep well, and that just put a bit of a downer on. And we got to a dam, so we had to survey that. And for me personally, it went very well. There was no point at where I felt physically drained of the whole experience, just irritated, and my part was a fault, because I shouldn't feel irritated by how slow our group was going. I know that people are far who are less experienced are very they can be slow, and I had to learn that on the second day, that you have to compromise. It's easier for me to walk slower, and it's probably a benefit for me to walk slower for people that cannot walk as fast as I can, and that's what I needed to learn, and that's what I did learn. I have to compromise in situations like that for the weaker people, to also have their chance at an expedition like this. And you have to emotionally support them, and you have to motivate them and make them determined the same way as you are determined to finish this experience. And that is what on the third day we all collectively as a group learned, and our hopes lifted as well, because on the third day we actually saw another group, and that was the first time we noticed how lonely we had been as a group. I mean, you are collectively together as a group, but you do need different interactions with people and different fun. And you need to talk to people. We felt so isolated because on the first day we didn't see any of the teachers. The second day we only saw the teachers, but at a bad time because of how rainy it was and how tired we all were. And on the third day, we just felt like we needed to see people, and that's what eventually happened. So that put a great high onto our spirits. So that was great. And the third day was it was a very, very tedious day, and we had to walk fast to get to our place, the end place that we needed to go to. And it was just at a certain point we had to navigate our route differently because of how treacherous a certain area was. And that's one thing that we learned. We can't always consider from a map how, even if it's updated, things during a certain season seem incredibly different to what it was maybe on that map when it was taken. So we had to modify our route, and again we had to, especially me and some of the boys, had to help the girls get through their fears to scale this steep cliff, and motivate them to get to the end, reach the end. And it was probably the best feeling that I've ever had to face, to get to our end point, see the teachers there waiting, or see the teacher there waiting for us, and thinking that we have just behind us were a whole mountain range. We had just come over that whole mountain range. To think that 4 days ago we had been behind that mountain range, and that we've just scaled them and came all this way. I mean, I think it was about, on average, 20 kilometers per day. So for us, or for some of the people in our group, that is an incredible amount, and we were so proud of ourselves. Yes, we were tired, but we were so proud of ourselves. I've never felt so much adrenaline and happiness to be in a car, and because of how we take it for granted that some people maybe have to walk 20 kilometers per day to get to places, and we have the commodity of using cars and vehicles to get to those places, whereas others can't. So that scale of using or realizing how important technology and stuff like that is incredible, and the whole experience in its own was absolutely worthwhile, and I'd probably be the only one to say that I'd do it again, only because it is something that I enjoy doing so much. I love challenging myself. And it made me realize that in situations where I feel fear, I need to recollect my thoughts and become calm, because otherwise there's no possible way to overcome anything if you have fear. That it's incredible, and it's so important to work as a group collectively and support each other. And that's exactly what made me think and realize that it is so important to be together as a team. So yeah, it was a great experience, and I would do it again.